Hi there. Hello. Hi. Hi. Day one, done and dusted. Everybody have a good day? Yes? Thumbs up? Does everybody know what a wave is, like when you do the wave? Can we try one? Let's try it. We'll start over here and then go over this way. So let's start over here, we'll do a wave. If you can stand up, let's do the wave. And then keep going. He's like, that's not all the way over. He's like, that was awesome. I do this every damn week, and this is the best one ever. I'm not sure what that says, but this one wins the prize for sure. Thank you very much. You made my night. The other thing that's made my day is the sign-up sheet for the Thursday night reading. We got a full page already. We're over into page 2. That almost never happens. That is awesome. If you have, hands up who signed up. Thank you, brave souls. If you haven't, no big deal. It's only Monday, but I encourage you to think about signing up and participating in the student reading on Thursday. It's always my favorite night of the week. It's an incredible experience. People are inspiring and brave when they get up here and they read their work in front of everybody else, and they get a lot of love from everyone sitting out here. So it's a great experience. If you haven't done it before, probably many of you have stood up on many stages reading. But if you haven't, it's a really wonderful experience. I encourage you to do so. You're in a safe zone, and this is like the best home court advantage that you could ever hope for. My name's David Simpson. I'm the program director at the Fine Arts Work Center. My pronouns are he, him. And welcome to our first night of faculty events in the sixth week of summer workshops. Sixth week of summer workshops. Wow, we're over halfway through. Amazing. So tonight we have a great lineup. Actually, it's just Janine. I mean, it's not just Janine. Janine's awesome. Janine Wong, great. But as opposed to Janine and Mira, Mira's somebody in her family had an accident, so they're going down to the hospital. So Mira can't join us tonight. We're going to try to work her into the lineup on Wednesday, but I hope you'll all send her and her family some healing vibes. I'm sure they would appreciate it. But we are left with the amazing the amazing Janine Wong, who's an artist of many things, and we're really glad to have her back here for the second year. But before we bring Janine up, just a bit of housekeeping items of interest. Books by faculty members that are here this week are on sale at the back of the room. I encourage you to check them out. And there's more books by more teachers and former fellows and other people associated with the Work Center in the little bookstore that we have between the two halves of the gallery over here to your right. If you haven't already done so, the exhibition that we have up this summer is called Edge Condition. It's wonderful. You should check it out. It's curated by Matt Bollinger, who's a former Falk Fellow, and it consists of work of about 20 former fellows. And it's really incredibly gorgeous. Nabil, I saw you going in there before. Is it nice? It's worth a trip? Okay. Can you do a one-person wave? That's awesome. Okay. I promise I'll stop with this quite soon. Okay. So the gallery will be open after the event, and it's also open from 12 to 5 every day. So check it out when you have a chance. It's really wonderful. Also, as always, I'd love to give a big shout out to East End Books for helping us manage our bookstore. They are the best possible partners, and we are grateful to have them. We live stream these events, and Jeff Peters, the owner of East End Books, watches. So I have to say this every week. No, I'm just kidding. I really sincerely, he's a wonderful partner. We love you, Jeff. Okay, there's the camera back there. Can do we? That was awesome. Is that all right? That's good. Okay, that was really fun. Okay, what else? Shout out to a couple of institutions. The Arts Foundation of Cape Cod and the Cape Cod 5 Foundation generously support our public programming in the summer, and I just want to give them a shout out. Our restrooms are down this corridor back there on the left-hand side, so if you need them, feel free to get up and use them. There's a drinking fountain opposite the restrooms. How many people have cushions? Are they awesome? Are they truly up? Yep, thumbs up. I won't ask, all right, you're thinking I'm going to ask you to do another wave, but I'm not going to. It's okay. But if you do want a cushion, there's more back there. Fatima's holding them up. They're super comfy, so grab them if you want. We also have assisted listening devices. If that would make your experience better tonight, please see Fatima or Sarah. They'll get you hooked up with one of those. And finally, if you could please turn your cell phones off. We don't want to be one of those people. That's it for me. And now I'd like to invite one of Janine's students to come up and introduce Janine. Please welcome to the stage Pamela Rader. Rader. Sorry. That's how it's spelled, but you know, but in another language it might be.
It's okay. Thanks, David. Is there a way I could wake this up just for?
Wake it up. Oh, you want it? Yep.
I want to be able to project. Yeah. Okay, great.
There you go.
Thank you. How's everybody doing? Great. So it's really my pleasure and honor to introduce one of our faculty members, Janine Wong. She's a professor emerita in art and design at the University of Massachusetts at Dartmouth. Wong received an MFA in design from the Yale School of Art and a B.Arch, Bachelor's of Architecture, from the School of Art, Architecture, and Planning at Cornell University. Her areas of expertise are in color, book arts, and printmaking. And Janine's work is represented in several collections, including the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, Joel and Lila Harnett Museum of Art at the University of Richmond, the Yale Art Gallery, and in special collection libraries at the School of the Museum of Fine Arts, Tufts University, Brown University, Rhode Island School of Design, Oberlin College, Bowdoin College, and the University of California at Santa Barbara. She is a recipient of a regional NEA award in Works on Paper, and she was a visiting artist at the American Academy in Rome. She also received a College Book Art Association exhibition award for her artist books. Her recent prints and books will be included in exhibition Alchemy of Color at the Alternative Exhibition Space, Murdstone Ridge in upstate New York this August 23rd to September 15th. So if you find yourself heading to upstate New York, I suggest you stop by. So I am a returning Fox student because of Janine Wong. And so I was in the workshop last year and came back because of the community that she created last summer. It was amazing. And just to give you an example, on the bottom left corner, you see Books in Space. She created a book out of some of the verbiage, the proverbs of kind of things that we made up to help us remember how to construct books. So that's the kind of community she created, and I love the enthusiasm and the encouragement to explore the concept and construct of the book form. Her workshop draws participants. This is sort of like the fan club over here, I think, or just, you know, there's three of us that are actually alums to Janine's workshop this year. And so her workshop draws participants, I think, from a variety of backgrounds and experiences. We've got writers who write across genres, and we have visual artists in the class. And Janine really embraces all of these different perspectives and cultivates creative thinking and action. I mean, to give you an example, I might say, oops, I've made a mistake. Janine will say, it's a design opportunity. So as somebody who is interested in the interplay of form and content in literature, I teach literature, this is getting me outside that box. I do appreciate Janine's invitation to re-see or re-envision the book as a structured space and as an architectural form. That's really kind of liberating. She invites us to play, create those design opportunities. And we're encouraged to come up with, I think, the questions that may go around that bookmaking practice, such as what we put between the covers, the arrangement, the mediums that we use, and how do we engage with movement between pages, and how will the chosen construction suit the chronicle therein. So please give me a warm welcome to our professor, Janine Wong.
Can you hear me? Is it good? Okay, so thank you, Pam, for the wonderful introduction. And thank you for joining the class again. We had 3 returning students, and I have 1 returning student from 30 years ago. So I have 4 returning students out of 11. So I'm so excited to see all of you and all the new participants. I'm deeply grateful to Falk for inviting me to teach this summer. I've been coming here for years during my husband Jim Stroud's week of teaching, and always loved seeing and hearing everyone's work. I always cherish the opportunity to witness and engage with the creative energy of this community. The dynamic atmosphere at Falk is truly inspiring, and I'm honored to now have the privilege of teaching here myself. So I'm here to teach a workshop focused on the artist book and book forms, which is the book structures and design. In this presentation, I will share a variety of my own work, including collaborations with scientists from MIT and Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute. Additionally, I will highlight projects and collaborations I've undertaken in the last year. So some of you might have seen the science books, but I have a whole new chapter. My artistic practice consistently incorporates collaboration and interdisciplinary exploration, bridging the realms of art, design, and the book arts. So these were all the structures that we learned last year. And the idea is to see possibilities for content as well as form, and how content informs materials and structure. Okay, so I have to get this going. I will start with the books that I call daily practice. I have a commitment of making something every day. This daily art feeds my work. So these are more like sketchbooks. This artist book titled Quotidian Practice was from 3 months of collage experiments from Studio Detritus. I think this book set my way of making collage, sewing, and printmaking that is a common thread throughout my work now. The left is a monotype, which is a unique print with collage dots and sewing. The right is a messed up cyanotype emulsion that I left in the rain. And it's talking about counting raindrops. During COVID, I created collage books using whatever printed materials were around the house. The left image showcases a collage book, which my students will make this week, while on the right is paper black strips that are woven through slots of a test print. Additionally, the circles on the right are cut from security envelopes, illustrating a typology of pattern. Thank you. There is a consistent fascination throughout my work that lies in typologies, the intricate framework that we use to organize our thoughts and to categorize the complexities of the world. Okay, let's see. This book, and so each book, it has about a month's worth. So there's 20 to 30 in each one of these books, or it's daily practice months. This book is filled with daily weavings of prints and drawings, reconfigured and composed through weaving through a paper warp. So you can see horizontally I'm weaving prints upon prints over a graphite drawing. The book provided a meditation and rhythm to the isolated days. Daily practice creates a rhythm of making and thinking. I constantly do research on various subjects. I'm passionate about researching color. Color Chords on the top explores color concepts of chemist M.E. Chevreul, 1855. He discovered the concepts of simultaneous contrast, which is the complementary or opposite colors and how they push and pull and give you the after image. And the levels of contrast when colors are juxtaposed. He wrote a manual on color called The Harmony and Contrast and their applications to the arts that inspires me to respond to his theorems in a lyrical and open way. The diptych of painted paper on the top examines the concept of value. Value is the relative lightness and darkness of a color. So you see the green background is the same value as the gray. And when we design, you know, your painting teacher always says, pay attention to value. And when you juxtapose this, you start to understand your color has a relative lightness and darkness. And if you juxtapose in diptych form or a compare and contrast way, you start to understand how value works in color. The museum school special collections just purchased 2 months of Color Chords, which I'm really excited about. I Feel Blue is another COVID project. It consists of blue swatches cut from catalogs and the mail for 2 weeks, and then collaged into 12 collages that I call color poems. From analytical to personal, here are a few books about family. Atrophy at the top is about my father's battle with lung cancer. The accordion book begins with imagined cells slowly dissolving to nothing. The book continues on both sides. The process uses dyes through silkscreen called deconstructed silkscreen. Pages are mounted on, like a Japanese screen, on bookboard. So it's almost like, yeah, it's very much like a Japanese screen. The book is designed to be read sequentially as well as sculpturally. The bottom is called Bypass, and Bypass is another accordion book about my mother's heart surgery and declining health and the emotional response to it. It is painted paper collage and wrapped in an Asian book structure, and we're going to do one of those in class as well. this is my, well, it's funny. This one is very analytical and one is very emotional. Folded geometry on the left explores the concept of finding order within random arrangement of circles, which are monotype based. I establish a set of rules or a framework to identify the underlying geometry within the randomness. Then I create sewing holes and sew and re-sew like a drawing layer until the pieces and shapes start to emerge. Paper Prayers is a response to 9/11. The prayer is written on Japanese paper, folded, encased in wax. Pieces cannot be opened, only the gesture remains. Collaboration. I love collaboration. I love working in collaboration. My next two books are with scientists. Both focus on research about oceans. As the title suggests, Bloom is about the cyclical blooming of phytoplankton in the oceans throughout the year. It is a work in 3 volumes that suggests the 3 cycles of the plankton bloom. So we're gonna try to shift to a video that was produced by Ari Daniel Shapiro for the exhibition at the Museum of Science that will give you a good overview of the collaboration.
But that would be a good first one, and then this one.
Because we like it.
Because they're awesome.
There is as much of a season in the ocean as there is on dry land. So in the spring, there's a huge bloom of phytoplankton, essentially plants. And this big pulse works its way up the food chain, feeding a huge amount of the life in the ocean.
As scientists looking through the microscope, we have an excitement about these organisms and their power to shape the world that we want to share, but we can't always do it in the most compelling or meaningful way. And working with Janine's really broadening the circle of people who can enjoy these images. Almost all of the images came from the Ross Sea, Antarctica.
The images are just wonderful abstract patterns and shapes that are just beautiful to combine.
I'm writing the narrative of the bloom to go along with it.
I think the red is maybe a bit too red. I'd go for Really, I'm looking for something that sits in between text and image. So I've been contributing pages from my notebooks full of numbers and thoughts and diagrams and equations.
So we all have equal voice in this book. Scientists and artists do similar things. They're wrestling with visual data. And the dialogue between other disciplines opens up your ways of thinking and seeing. Great, thanks.
From idea to
Okay, so a few spreads. So this is Bloom. The concept was to balance the written, the mathematical, and the visual. Each communicates the same thing in a different language. I'm fascinated by the relationship of text and image and how they together form a synergy of meaning that is stronger than in isolation. On the right is a spread of, let's see, on the right is a spread of diatoms reacting to the sunlight. The bottom is the consequences. And the left side is talking about the birth or the prelude of phytoplankton. The prints are photo etching on copper, and the diatom plate is repeated on various pages, changing color and sequence to illustrate the narrative. So like a lot of the early medieval books, they would have this plate that would morph, but the image would be the same to tell the story. I'm using photographs from a database of research from the scientists. What I loved about the project was the enormous amount of visual images that you have access to. For example, I would ask for various scales of plankton, and within the hour in my Dropbox, I would get 60 perfect images. That was my research. You know, please. And then I get them back. It's amazing. Oops. The next book, I worked with Jing He, who studies ocean physics, so it's all the stuff that you can't see. And she studied deep oceans, which you can't really see. You can see surface currents, but you can't see what's really going on in the deep layers of the ocean. That is studied through data and mathematical models. She studies submesoscale soup, which is a layered ocean currents that transport nutrients that support life in the oceans and help sequester carbon dioxide deep in the oceans. Submeso is a scale and type. It's more of a size of ocean currents, which is the size of approximately Connecticut, and her study was out on the west coast off of California. I was inspired by scientific illustration of the 19th century, such as Anne Atkins, Ernest Haeckel, and Margaret Gatty. The scientific illustrators dealing with the oceans. My goal was to make science beautiful and accessible to a wider audience, just beyond just the scientific community. Working with Jing, she was delighted to see her work visualized, because it's all data sets and mathematical modeling that they do. And she uses these illustrations for her scientific presentations. I think what's interesting about the printmaking is that it's marbling. So marbling is printmaking. It was the most effective method to simulate ocean currents. Traditionally, it was marbling was designed for end papers and bookbinding. So it involves floating paint, in this case it's acrylic paint, on carrageenan. And carrageenan is a red seaweed. So I'm using materials from the ocean itself to create the book on ocean currents. I experiment with the technique by altering the viscosities of the paint, exploring the potential in new and creative ways. So this is in progress. So it's just stuff on my desk. Current work. I accompanied my husband, Jim Stroud, who was awarded a Ballinglan Artists Foundation Fellowship in Ballycastle, Ireland, where he received a month-long residency. I tagged along. Throughout the time, I maintained my daily practice routine, writing, sketching, taking photographs, and making prints. Intrigued by the vibrant and constantly changing colors surrounding me, I chose to delve into observing and studying the colors of the landscape, which I refer to as a local color. It is a much more muted palette. This ongoing project titled Color Fields is currently in progress to become an artist book. So I'm going to put all of my primary source material into the book so you could sort of see into my brain of how I'm developing ideas as a book. So here's more daily practice. Here is a collection of daily collages or weavings I created to investigate and explore green and the weather. Each piece is accompanied by writing as I attempt to unravel and understand what I observed. I am not a poet. This is a tool for me to discover what I am experiencing and seeing. So I'll just read a few and then the poets can help me. So it really, you can articulate what's going on in your brain as you paint. Cyanotype skies, clouds gesture, slow down time. Earth tones, some most bit. Light box earth edge glows. Flat gray hills brush middle ground. Contrasted clouds drift straight. Blue-gray velvet air mixing hard-fought, overthinking mind. So I would write 4 or 5 haiku and do 2 or 3 collages a day. Inspired by the place in Ireland, my prints reflect the desaturated and muted tones, influenced by the region's weather patterns and changing colors. The ever-evolving light and color offered endless possibilities for exploration and interpretation. Here are first monotypes inspired by my visual research. The one on the left was actually, oh, I can make haiku visual, so it's 5 and 7 structure. And then you can see weaving as a way to reconfigure color quickly. So these, I'm going to show you the process. At Ballinclan, I discovered a new way to work with color and monotype. I explore color using a unique printing process I developed that produces 2 prints simultaneously, a twofer, from a paper printing plate. Plates are constructed with paper coated on both sides with ink, cut into strips of varying widths and woven into geometric composition. The color strips on the front side are woven in search of a balanced and unified composition, while the accidental verso is revealed only when after the plate is printed. So I put color on both sides of the paper. Here on the left side is one side, and on the back side there's random colors. So I'm setting up my chance or very Cajun fluenced project to see what happens. So from there you can see the blue, weaving through the grid. And I work really hard to make it balanced. Some most bit is a good theorem to combine colors. The plate is sandwiched between the 2 sheets of paper, so I'm going to show you. So it's like a sandwich with a piece of paper on the top and a piece of paper on the bottom. I don't know if I caught it, but you'll get the idea. So yeah, see there's 2 printing at once. And all of the colors, usually in printmaking you do 1 color at a time. I get 7 colors, 8 colors at a time.
Nice.
And so you can see on the lower side, the plate is, there's 1 more plate to lift. And then on the right side, you can see the front and the back, or class, the recto or the verso side. Good job. So this is the series recto verso. So I'm moving away from the local color to testing out color juxtaposition and color composition. I consider these prints as visual meditations delving into the poetics of color. These prints are odes to the both observed and imagined landscapes influenced by collage, architectural space, textiles, and color theory. Each pair of prints is a duality: order, chance, chaos, and control, conventions, and invention. Each pair represents impressions from both sides of the same plate. One side of the plate is, in my brain, a harmonious interplay of colors carefully composed through the lens of color theory and the dynamics of color interaction. The other side unfolds as a serendipitous result, a chance composition that embraces the dual nature of artistic creation, the intentional and the spontaneous. So I never tell the audience which one is which. So class, you're going to have to identify which one is which before you leave. It's amazing. One is not really bad, and I don't even look at the colors on the back side. And a lot of times, the quirkier compositions are the ones, the unintentional. Okay. In preparation for my upcoming 3-person exhibition in August, each artist was partnered with a poet to create a zine or an artist book responding to their work. In my collaboration, I had the privilege of working with Sharita Warner, and she wrote a poem responding to my work. Here's a spread on the right. On the left, we have these email discussions about the language of color. And she talks about color also as taxonomies, and taxonomies that you can sort of order. So on the left side are mock-ups of her poem that is woven in the color. So as you turn the page, the color composition is constantly shifting. Those book pages are also from the printing plates, so I've recycled them. So Sharita Warner is a poet and a lecturer at the University of British Columbia in poetry and interdisciplinary forms. You see why we get along. This is a project that designs writing activities in collaboration with visual artists for creative writing classroom. She calls the series provocations. Artists call them prompts. Poets call them provocations. That sounds so much more sexy. Provocations, quote, she says, provocations will shift the focus of learning from an exclusively mental effort, parentheses, lecture and workshop, towards a sequence of embodied, sensory-rich experiences, creating the conditions for poem making, when language is defamiliarized through interdisciplinary play. So on the left is her website, which you guys can do, the poets and visual artists can do my provocation called Casting Color, which you have to go search out one color, go to the paint store, list all the names, and then use those words in your poems. And the right, I had to test out many ways of working with color And I wrote, you know, you have, before you do an assignment, you have to test it out. And so here I'm working with fragments of color and then writing about color. It's about blue without using blue. So one feeds the other. You don't want to be redundant with language, right? If you can't say this is blue, you just show blue, and a beautiful blue. What am I working on now? I wake up at 5:15 every morning at fog, and I look at sunrise, dawn. I'm currently working on collecting daily palettes of civil dawn. There are 3 levels of dawn. Did you know that? There's civil, which is where the beautiful colors are. Nautical and astronomical, where it's super dark. Nautical is where you can't see the sky and the water. They're the same value. And civil dawn is, and there's civil dawn and civil, morning and night, there's a civil hour. And people call it magic hour, blue hour, golden hour, where the angle of the sun is low and the colors are heightened and beautiful. So we'll see where this project, how it unfolds. That's it. Thank you. Oh, wait, I have one more slide. Here's my fabulous and talented class on day 0. On day 0, we had to make a book before we left orientation. So that's day 0, which is form making. And on the right is our conceptual brainstorming of what a book is. A book is clothing for words. It's my favorite, but all of them are spectacular. We were thinking these could be great provocations for books. Thank you. I have, yeah, I did show and tell.
So we're going to do a quick Q&A. If you hold the phone. Please wait for Fatima to come to you with a microphone because we're live streaming and we want our audience at home to be able to hear your question. All right, so please take it away.
I was intrigued and excited by your use of the word weaving because it can have a very literal meaning in art, and then it can also have a more metaphoric meaning. And I'm wondering, is it both for you, or how do you weave the pieces that you create?
Is it more metaphorical? It's both. I think it's both. I started weaving when I cleaned up my mother's textile stuff. And so it's sort of a new direction. I said, oh, I should learn to weave, because look at all this yarn. And it's sort of snuck in. The collage really kicked into gear because of COVID, and you don't get a lot of new materials. It was, look, I have all this stuff. So it starts with materials and stuff. Morgan?
I'd love to know what your dream collaboration would be.
I do love working with scientists. I do. I mean, I think I am building it. This collaboration with the poet in Canada has been really wonderful. And I keep telling David, there has to be a way where there's more collaboration between the writers and the visual artists, and how does that happen? Because I think one feeds the other. And they're usually in, isolated areas to me. I can show you, class and audience. I showed them a folded book, and for my catalog, I did a folded book. And so it is one press sheet, you guys. And this is the poet side. And then it goes, you can see the inside. And then it goes inside out. It's another twofer. And then each artist has their own folded book with the collaboration of the poet. And then each artist has a fragment of their work as a wrapper. And sometimes, I think, for me, it was, my collaboration was more about, the fragmented thoughts and trying to sort out color as a typology or as a language. And for Eva Lunsager, it's just one entire image in a more of a broadside. And I'll show you the last one. Poet is from Washington State, and the painter is Pat Sanino. So this is the painter side, and the poet is Aaron Malone from Bainbridge Island in Washington. They all did a pretty interesting collaboration. Okay.
Thank you. That was really amazing. I'm just curious about how you came to this kind of art. It seems to be like nothing I've ever seen before.
That's a good question. I mean, book arts, the collections that I'm in are predominantly libraries. And it's not really a discipline, it's an interdisciplinary. Everyone owns the book. Everyone designs and imagines the book. It's not a huge market. If you say, I'm a book artist, say, a bookie, My dean used to say, oh, you're a bookie. Like, wow, he really doesn't understand.
But you
so how did I come to it? I think it's from my interdisciplinary background.
Okay.
It's architecture, it is design, and then I married a printmaker. Okay. And you mix it in a pot, and here it is. So I think all of your experiences do coalesce, and you make it your own.
Does it, it seems like it would bring joy to you in that you're able to combine all these loves and science.
Right, because you can, because a book artist, the broad definition is a book artist does everything,
Yeah.
right? You don't ask anyone. You just say, I'm doing it this way, and I'm developing this research. And then if you have a collaboration, there's a lot of dynamic learning. You understand that scientists are as crazy as artists.
Yeah.
And, you know, that they have to work hard to get their next grant. And we think very similarly. And we never step out of our little areas.
Well, it seems like you would bring their work visually and help people understand their work by what you do.
Right. You know, there's a lot of groups, usually through institutions. It was, you know, MIT that started the collaboration, and then the graduate student graduated, and then the Providence Art Association or Guild took it on and works closely with the URI oceanographic program there. But they love seeing their work visually. Because it's so data-driven and so photographic, that it, you know, photographs are neutral. They have, you know, it's a neutral piece of information that needs ideas, visual ideas layered into it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. The work is very beautiful, and I would like to know whether this beauty is produced for the market. Like these books, are they available for the market?
I just that's my husband. I usually made one of a kind when I was in academia, because to print and publish and produce and bind, it is a full-time job to produce an editioned artist book, like an editioned print. So most important was just getting the ideas and developing, you know, a project. And I guess being in academia, I didn't have to make it marketable, but my experience with the last sale is like, can I have your price list, your annotated visual price list? It's like, oh my God, I've never done one of those. So it's a new world. And I think, you know, it doesn't have a venue as big as, you know, the fine arts. So it's this little secret. It's a secret. So, Jim's a business person, and I was an academic. But, you know, it's learning to share it is probably a project for me. Maybe the collaborators will get it out into the world.
Thank you. It's a really nice presentation. I have a question about the display aspect of the books. Like when you say the book arts or the art or the books that are art and they're going in exhibition, what is your ideal? Is there interaction? Are they in a display case? How do you deal with that display issue?
It's a good question. A lot of my books are accordion, so it sets up, you know, their own panels that can be put on a table. You know, I don't mind people holding the book because it is art that is more intimate in viewing. The submeso scale soup is done in folios. So there's a left side and a right side, and there's no back side. And so you can magnet them up on the wall. so you can view them. It would be more, it's different. I mean, on the last show, they were in a long row and a panel. But I think the book does need to be held for viewing. But it's always a tough one because curators and librarians don't want to just put the book out on the table.
Thanks so much. As you were talking, I was thinking about the power of art for social good. And it seems like a lot of your collaborations, that people want to collaborate with each other. Have you taken your process to people or places who don't want to collaborate or who are in conflict as a way of healing?
I've never thought about that. I think that would be a great project. You want to collaborate?
Sure. Sign me up.
I think collaboration, I haven't met anyone that said they don't want to collaborate. They're curious. It does take a while for your language to meet in the middle, because since we're so siloed in our disciplines, we use our own words, and we talk in details because we're talking to each other about our art. And all of that has to be simplified. And you realize, wow, that's a lot of jargon when, you know, the ideas can be a lot more straightforward without all the jargon from the discipline, each discipline. I think each discipline has its jargon, provocations. I like that. Right, that's jargon for their, you know, daily practice, or our prompts, right? Did that answer?
Yeah, it did, thank you.
Okay.
Let's have another big round of applause for Janine Wong. Amazing. And be sure to check out the exhibition next door and come back tomorrow night for another amazing evening with poet Patricia Spears-Jones, writer Garrett Conley, and printmaker Nabil Gonzalez. Come back and see us tomorrow. Have a good night. Thank you.